right, we are here with episode number 838. I think we've done a couple of them now of the Cultivate Crypto show. Talking about, apparently we're going to talk about, are we headed for a crypto drop and buy the dip? But I'm guessing with the Pulse Chain crew here for the Bitcoin conference, we might not get to that topic. But it's good to see you guys, and
see you, man.
Yeah, we got the crew here. We got fucking Miguel here too today. So
hey,
a while
go to zero. It's all going to zero, you guys. Don't believe.
Yeah, but what do you call it? I just kind of wanted to like just jump into it, right? And be like, we're here for the Bitcoin conference. The Bitcoin conference is happening in town. Like, there's all these events happening. We've met a lot of people this week. What are your guys' honest thoughts about the Bitcoin conference this far? I think RG said it sucks a bag of dicks or something along those lines, but
I did not.
No, I'm joking. But no, like, how's the experience been? What have you guys enjoyed? Like, what's the highlights? What's the lowlights? What's going on with the Bitcoiners?
Well, like something that was cool was like seeing like Donald Trump Jr. talk.
Yeah,
that was pretty kind of special because we got to be up like very, very close, and kind of like some of the things that they were talking about were pretty cool when it came to like Michael Saylor, and JD Vance did a phenomenal speech, but that thing, we had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Right. It took 3 hours to get through like all the security and Secret Service.
And like every day with the conference, there's at least like 2 parties that are hosted that are open until like 3 or 4 a.m.
Exactly.
Right. And then they expect us to get up for fucking JD Vance at 5. Like, exactly. What? Like, we're only sleeping for
an hour? Figured they'd keep the degens out of the line if they did that, right?
Exactly.
Not a bad move.
You wouldn't catch me at that, man. You don't want to shake his hand. You know what happened to the last Pope?
Oh, yeah. That is true. That's true.
Ooh, too soon.
But at the same time, I got to interview people, like random people about Bitcoin. And then I'm wearing a Pulse Chain shirt. And I asked them, and they're like, do you know what Pulse Chain is? And then I asked them, do you know who Richard Hart is? And they're like, I don't even know. I was like, well, you know, Richard Hart's one of your biggest whales of Bitcoin. So maybe you should learn some stuff about him. So that's my impression.
Well, that's what I was kind of interested in, right? Because there's like some people that they're like, do you know Richard Hart and Pulse Chain? They're like, yes, I heard Trump like basically took him off the hook with the SEC, and you're like, no, what? And then and then there's other people who have no idea,
what
right?
Is this bankless, Charlie?
I hope not.
No.
I saw some of those idiots there.
There's been a couple of shows like they've just been out there crying.
Oh, really?
It's like, well, I'm not entirely sure. It's, you know, we should have really forgave him and stuff, but overall, it's good for the whole market and stuff that the SEC is no longer going after crypto.
I never heard them talk about him.
Oh yeah, they talk. So
you didn't see the one where he cried?
They cry like every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know what we're even doing here, man. It's game over. Game over.
God damn. But what did they say?
So the bankless guys were crying about it, and they're like, "Well, yeah, he won his lawsuit, but they basically were lying about it, saying they just threw it out instead of actually a victory." And then you had the you know that podcast with like, was it Talking Me? And it's like like what is that, like the not the All In guys, but it's the
it's all in for ETH guys.
Yeah, like the short. It's like the shorts. It's like those degen guys, right? Like they're big. They're big in like Fartcoin and stuff. Those dudes.
Hey, Fartcoin is one of the premier cryptocurrencies right now.
No, definitely it is. But
it sucks.
But some of the guys showing some of the you know, they were kind of a little, like, obviously very ETH heavy, so they kind of suffered through the cycle and stuff. So they're a little bitter on that. And then they were just a little pissed off about like Richard getting. So I have the clip somewhere. If I could, I'll probably send it to you right now. You can see it and stuff. But
interesting.
It's just kind of, well, I mean, it's, you know, he shouldn't have gotten away with it, but, you know, begrudgingly, like, you know, hey, at least the industry's not going to get, got away with it.
And that's it. I think that's the problem, is that, you know.
Can I borrow one of those lighters, by the way?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's time for us to
we're gonna do the Discourse Syndicate on Cultivate Crypto today. No, what you're saying.
Sorry guys, don't burn it all tonight, but we got stuck out here in Vegas, so it's cigars here. But you know, the narrative out there about the case is it's appalling. You know, I always see we've got all these crypto influencers out there speaking news, you know, talking about news and information. why aren't they reporting what really happened?
Crypto altcoin daily, right? So altcoin daily 2 years ago when Pulse Chain launched, all the Pulse Chain and hexagons and everything, we had a great time out in Miami.
Yep.
Me and DCC, like what do you call it? I forget which of the two twins it was or whatever, but one of them basically made a comment when we were on Fresh and Fit like 3 or 4 months before that. And so we rocked up to them or whatever, and we're like, hey guys, like, you know, what's up? Like, what do you like about Pulse Chain, all this stuff or whatever? And they were like pretty cool actually, right? Good guys. And like they were like, the one guy that I whichever one I approached first, he was like, oh, it's my brother that likes that show. He's like totally trying to like he'd say he doesn't watch it, right?
Not me.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
well, he apologized to me at the event. So went to the event, and
right? And he's a good guy.
He was like, "Hey, man, we're just funning with you, man." He goes, "You're the."
But I would really,
guy, right?
I would really appreciate if they would actually like be like, okay, journalistic integrity. We're going to be the only people who actually tell the truth about what's happening with Hex and Pulse Chain with Richard's case, because like they have such a loudspeaker.
Yeah,
everybody in crypto listens to. At least, you know, that would be respectable. I don't expect that from fucking Bankless. Like I expect only propaganda from that stream.
Maxis and stuff, but you know, we got more Ethereum than they do.
And I mean, the cases out there. What the judge said about the cases out there, the information that the hexagons, the 75 that showed up, you know, at the courthouse, we gave our play-by-play, and it all collaborates with what the judge said, what the SEC said, what Richard's team said. You know, the judge didn't. Or the SEC didn't throw the case out or not decide to move forward with the case. They went forward with the case.
Right.
The case went all the way to the end. The judge, you know, it was the last hearing was about jurisdiction. However, what was discussed just as much as jurisdiction was their shitty complaint and the timeline of that complaint and how it fell. And they did a horrible job of representing their complaint in front of the judge. The judge made that evidently clear in the courtroom in front of all of us. They made 3 or 4 snide-ass comments that pissed the judge off.
Really?
Yeah.
What did they say?
Well, they were talking about Richard, you know, when Richard said, hey, when you sacrifice, you get nothing. I want you all to know I don't work for you. You get nothing. And Richard was protecting himself and what he was doing.
And to be honest, if you look at every single seed, pre-seed round, ICO contract that's out there from any company that's working through any hedge fund or whatever in crypto to like raise funds, you literally have that in every single contract for an IPO or ICO. Like it says those words.
And there you go, right? So he covered his bases. He never marketed to the US. So the jurisdiction, she ruled on jurisdiction, said you don't have jurisdiction and your complaint sucks. And you can appeal it and rewrite your complaint or whatever it was that she gave
but you have to have new evidence.
Yeah. And the SEC said, we got nothing.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't drop out because, you know, Donald Trump's administration said, hey, back off of Richard Hart. That's not the case.
And that's what I hear all these Bitcoin maxis talk about. Like when we were talking to them about stuff, they're just like, oh, I think like 2 birds of a feather fly together, right? Like this guy I don't like and this guy I don't like. So that must be
we got to start leaning into it, dude. You gotta start leaning dog, we're hella homies with like the President Trump and Trump Jr. were homies, dog. Like, you know?
Well, I mean, Trump got Justin's son to be able to talk at a Bitcoin conference.
Very true.
You know, all the Bitcoiners are like, oh my God, here we go.
So, well, I mean, he's the biggest donor now or the biggest holder of Trump coin. So he's buying favor, you know, and it's
smart. I mean, it's business. I mean,
it's business.
It's payola. I mean, it's semi-payola in a way, but like,
yeah, it's either that or he goes and does the 4 months like CZ did.
But even right now, like, I know you've been talking about it on your show, but like the biggest news that I think it's still not getting enough news right now is like the amount of like acquisition happening in the stablecoin space right now.
Yeah.
XRP and like Circle. I mean, basically they 100% like confirmed it that like either XRP is going to buy it or Circle is going to BlackRock. And then I think it's going to go towards Circle. I mean, go towards Coinbase, because BlackRock just recently bought 10% of Circle just now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're maybe doing that to stop it or to possibly lean it in one direction that they want to. But it's probably it makes more sense to me going Coinbase, but like XRP now. I mean, obviously, like XRPs, there's tons and tons of multi-$100 million deals coming out for XRP, but they're getting scared right now because every single institution is coming with a stable coin that's competition for their network. I mean, from like all the classics, like Visa's going to come out with a MasterCard.
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
You have PayPal. I mean,
PayPal's already there
with a stable coin. Trump's got a stable coin now as well. So it's a state. We're in a little bit of a stable coin, like kind of like meta run right now.
Yeah.
And it's all going to be controlled by the Genius Act, which is so cringe.
Right.
Like
the Genius Act.
In fact, you referred to JD Vance's speech, which was a great speech. I loved it. And the crowd went crazy. He knows just what to say. The only part that was like kind of lukewarm was when he said, another thing we've done is the Genius Act, which is going to be great. And everyone's kind of like,
and that should be a hint and a half for everybody's ass, because that's the poison pill.
Yeah.
You know, and we look at all the fluff and all the yay. We got crypto, when that event right there wasn't crypto.
No.
That event I just walked into lacked anything crypto, period.
You know what it is? It's mass adoption and Roger Ver's worst nightmare.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, if you go to crypto purists, like what we've said, like the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the utopia. It's humans bastardizing the blockchain. And I forget if it was a guy from VanEck, but we were talking about it earlier. One of those guys from the banks was trying to say, well, you know, that thing about not your keys, not your coins, you know, that's kind of not relevant anymore. You know, just buy it from the bank.
Let's forget about that one.
Let's forget about that one.
Yeah.
Just that one, you know?
I think that was the most eye-opening thing to me, was just like realizing how many people are in crypto, but really just don't understand it and don't believe in what Satoshi's vision was.
Right. It's an investment vehicle, effectively, at most to them, or insurance.
Well,
them.
And it's taken them 12 years to try and get adoption from the general public, and they can't.
Right.
So what did they start screaming for in institutional money?
Well, because institutions will tell the public to do it. Yeah.
And that's why we're where we're at, because we couldn't get the regular public in. And why? Because there's a teaching gap. There's a gap of ease of entry. There's a gap of how to get people into crypto. It was too difficult.
Well, but yeah, you do attract the people who are open to that message, right? So you get the libertarians of society.
Yeah, that's why we had 2% of the world, 3% of the world in crypto.
Yep.
And it never grew.
Yep.
Because they never adopted the wallets, the Etherscan. I mean, come on, please. You're going to tell me that I'm going to be an investor. I'm going to come in order to monitor my investment. I got to go to Etherscan and try and figure that shit out. You're fucking wrong. It ain't happening.
Right.
You know, most of these people can barely, flip through a smartphone, let alone go out on Etherscan and try and do chain analysis on their wallets and shit, So we had that gap, and now everybody's saying, well, fuck it, bring institutional money in. That's the only way we're going to get saved. That's the only way our bags are going to go up. And the maxis went right along with it because they sold all their Bitcoin to BlackRock,
just like they did in 2017.
Yep.
Just like they did in 2017.
and they've been unloading it since 17.
Yep.
And now,
well, but Willy Woo, he's going into a new business, bro. He's going into a new business. He's taking all that Bitcoin. It's gonna like make Bitcoin layer 2s.
Oh,
It's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. And by the way, if you are worried about other people selling their Bitcoin, you got to go touch grass, bro. And like, seriously, that's what Samson Mao fucking literally tweeted that, right? I'm like, bro, you guys have been saying hodl for like
longest time,
forever.
till we sell, then you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the wool they pulled over everybody's eyes for all these years, and now we're in this spot where you see what you had there. I mean, that was a despicable display of what crypto should be. And
but with mass adoption, that's inevitable, right? So the question, like the way I see crypto going is we're going to have different factions of groups, right? We're going to have pure DeFi crypto natives, which is basically Pulse Chain, Aave, these types of groups, right? Then you're going to have Wall Street people who are like, hey, buy my ETF, right? Because you don't want to figure this shit out, right? Which legitimately for 80% of the population probably is actually a legit use case.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was half okay with the ETF, giving people the option to get in without having to expose themselves to custody issues or whatever,
Right.
And I was half okay with that. But it's turned into this, with this Genius Act and everything that's now we're going to give you access to crypto, but we're going to regulate the shit out of it.
So let's talk about the Genius Act, because I know Hex Monkey and you and maybe some of the other guys know the details of that. Can you kind of like just lay out like what are the most egregious parts of the Genius Act?
So there's, it's so now what they're saying is that everybody can have their own stable coin as long as they follow the rules, right? So there's the rules for them. And one of the most ridiculous things that Saylor said on stage the other day was, well, it's fine. We're gonna abide by the rules, but we shouldn't be checked.
Well, he said, what do you call it? It's a security flaw to the North Koreans, right? Who obviously, the Indians got the Coinbase. The North Koreans tried Kraken, but Kraken's too good. They stopped them, right? But like, so that part, I'm like, okay. But at the same time, it's a ruse.
Bullshit.
It's a ruse. Yeah.
It's bullshit. And so they don't want to drop their drawers and show what they've got, but they're going to make all of us.
But Arkham recently was just like, oh, Saylor doesn't want to show his wallets, but we found them all.
and
but the worst part of the act is that they can block your account. They don't like you.
Yeah, so there's a switch in there.
Okay.
So they have a switch.
And their switches. Can you explain that? Yeah.
So just like they did to, say, Tornado Cash users. If you use Tornado Cash, you can no longer transfer your funds into Coinbase and move it to dollars. They have the same ability to do so now because they've got there's a wallet snitch. I posted it on Twitter the other day. There's a wallet snitch that they've hired to go and wallet snitch on us.
Well, you know what I've heard? Right now, globally, about 55% of all Ethereum wallets have been linked to an email address that's probably like 90% likely to be most people.
Yep.
Because they've interacted with some sort of centralized exchange or everything at some point before. And so there are organizations out there that are maybe slightly tied to central bank digital currencies that, have gone and done that. For who? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you literally have to go through a VPN, make an address that doesn't have anything to do with any personal information, with a prepaid credit card that you buy from a convenience store that has no cameras, that's paid for in cash, and then once that's paid for, then you can open an Ethereum wallet, and they really can't tell where you are again. You better have a VPN up and everything else. Then that's but
OTC deals is like all you can do, Chinese.
So and hope the person that sent you the OTC didn't get involved in these shenanigans.
Well, they're gonna probably tell the Chinese government, but as long as they're not telling your government. No.
So here's the thing we have to look at though. This isn't something that just happened day before yesterday. This Genius Act has been put together. They didn't just put it together in the last 4 months when the Trump administration came in. They've had this shit wrote up, ready to go. And they've been, like you said, there's research and stuff going on wallets and everything.
And they're not saying it a lot. They're being very quiet.
It's all been done. Everything's been done. They're monitoring everything. And now they've given the powers to the, centralized agencies, whether it be a credit card company, a bank, or a crypto exchange, the power to regulate the stablecoin.
In 10 years, obviously, because this will happen in a bear market. Right? Because if you actually look at when stablecoins were created, right, they're kind of essentially created in 2016 in terms of commercial use. There really wasn't that much money. It really was at the end of 2017, and where they topped out in terms of market cap, 2018, right? Because that's where everyone cashed out, basically, right? So now, what's going to happen in 10 years from now, somewhere in the 2030s, during let's just say 32 is the top, 33 is like the bottom, or it's over. I think they're going to start freezing wallets over probably $500,000, $400,000, whatever the FDIC is, or some shit like that. It's like, whose money is this? You have to report your wallets. It's not going to happen in this cycle, and probably not in the next. But 10 years out, which is really like 2.5 cycles.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking,
they will.
Right? And they can.
And that's how they the frog in the pot theory, right? So it's like, okay, so let's just say this bull run goes without a hitch. The Genius Act is implied. we don't have real stable coins that are compliant with the Genius Act until after this bull run is over or whatever, because it's going to take them a while to get everything going.
Yeah, I'd say it takes them a whole cycle before.
And so
they
we
really
all get excited and everything's fine, guys. Everything's fine.
Hey, as long as they're pumping my bags, and I have exit liquidity. If Germany's my exit liquidity because they sold and then they're going to buy back.
Didn't do nothing to me. And then, now we got another 3 years of bear market, which we know is coming after this. Or whatever it might be. And, that's when everything will be implemented. That's when everything will be started to be washed out. That's what we saw this last time. So it's going to be a frog in a pot. They're going to boil us. And like I said, we might not see, me running to, the British are coming, right now is RG, it's 5 years in the future, or 4 years in the future. But if we don't start doing something now, if we don't start getting loud now, if we don't start exposing all this stuff now, we'll lose.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the one good thing about crypto is like the technology exists, right? That can't be rolled back. So there's always going to be the crazy crypto people. Like there was one guy at the conference, I think he was like on Bitcoin Magazine's microphone for a bit. And they were all talking about government stuff. And he was just like, you know what? Fuck the government. And he just went on a rant for like a minute about that. And as soon as he stopped his point, they were like, and anyways, but like that part of crypto is always going to exist. You can't get that out. Right. So I always think like the crypto native side, which I do think is Pulse Chain. And I do think is, Ethereum, Sonic, all these different things that people are building. Right. Like it's like we're guerrilla warfare. Right. And like, we ain't fucking leaving. Right. All you guys can like, do whatever you're going to do with Wall Street. That's fine. Pump our bags. Cool. Like make the whole industry, like make sure that we're not criminals. That's nice.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind those type of rules where let's keep the terrorist, countries from, using crypto. Let's keep
I always think the meta with AVAX, Miguel, is the funniest fucking thing because now like all these banks are actually accepting AVAX as its banking token.
Oh, yeah, they have.
And we've talked about like how JP Morgan had this giant cargo ship in 2018, I think it was, come from the North Africa to Boston. They were like
full of coke.
That's all it had was fucking literally just full of coke. And they were like I bet you the Boston Police Department was like, okay, move along, go back to Africa, whatever. But like, and then you have AVAX, right? That allegedly, right, has some links to cartels, illegal shit.
A lot of south of the border activity.
HSBC.
Yeah, and then just announced.
Well, and a lot of the exchanges have been popped for allowing that stuff to go through.
We know Quant is an FBI coin, right? So like and we know Pepe has potentially cryptographic information that was made by the United States Navy.
Yep.
So like the question is Satoshi the CIA?
Well, I think another problem with that is that, and there's a lot of technology, the ledger and all these other things that
which is French.
Let's face it, our government makes technologies that people use and it ends up open source. And so
I
think a lot of those conspiracy theories come from, hey, cryptography goes way back and let's face it, the US government, we've innovated and made things that the real world uses, on a regular basis, technologies and whatnot. So, even our phones, all this stuff comes from the moon landing and shit, so all that stuff. Or wait, the alleged moon landing.
Thank you.
Hey, don't speak ill of it.
I know your audience. I don't want to piss them off.
The alleged round Earth.
The alleged.
Forget that one. The weird thing about the corporate nature, that was my impression of the conference. Like I made the best of it. I enjoyed it, had a positive experience, but the sheer scale of it was amazing. Like something like 30,000 people.
Yeah. It was huge.
It was over.
And every booth was a company.
Yeah.
Almost like 95%. It was all
and
it was all corporate.
Too. Just full of people.
It was let us custody your coins, let us earn yield for you, let us be a middleman for making payments.
Let us put your seed phrase on something.
Oh yeah, on like a little rock or something like that.
Oh really?
And the thing is, like, there's a place for that. I think like if 10% of it was that and 90% of it was more DeFi and self-custody and sovereignty, that would be great. But it was the other way around.
Crazy Horse is accepting crypto for lap dances.
Support your local economy.
Was the 2 rows of mining?
So much mining.
mining.
equipment and hardware.
I mean, I was like, wait, are they still trying to sell these kids mining equipment?
Yes.
Right.
And tell them that they could still mine Bitcoin? I mean, it's blowing my mind that they're still trying to do that shit.
That's what you do. You steal energy from California. It's free.
Or China.
Yeah, I'm sure you make a lot of money off of 31 cent a kilowatt freaking, electricity.
Yeah.
Oof.
I guess after being in Pulse Chain, right, and knowing about proof of work versus proof of stake, I've just been, in this community so long that I'm just like, well, of course, that makes the most sense, right? It just blew my mind seeing how much they had about how, like, they wanted to promote mining. And I'm just like, what year is this?
Yeah.
Like,
And because there's companies behind it. There was 2 rows of companies there that were selling mining equipment. And or their version of a pool or whatever it was that they were trying to sell. And Bitcoin is also a business. So you can't go, oh wait, well, we've been promoting the wrong thing all this time. Proof of stake makes more sense. Period. End of story. Every time I hear the argument of proof of work, they're like, but that's value. Losing, the electricity and the money you put in, that's the value.
There are potential security concerns. That would be the only argument that I would say has validity, right?
But even Bitcoin's got like Bitcoin's getting worn by BlackRock.
Obviously you can centralize it. Yeah.
And now you're opening yourself up to 51% attack.
Yeah, on the margin, there's a risk, but reality, it's very small.
Yeah. Then it becomes the same.
At one point, BlackRock forks Bitcoin and you can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
ChatGPT's got to buy all the fucking Ethereum.
and don't think that they won't sell those fucking mining companies too, because the Bitcoiners who said HODL forever, they sold their Bitcoin. So don't think that the mining companies won't sell either.
So that's the other question. How much money does it take to corrupt people? Because that's what we're seeing.
How much?
I mean,
there's a price,
right?
Yeah.
Everything's got a price. Everything's got a price.
Yep, absolutely.
Walking around it, I was of 2 minds. Like, wow, this is really neat how much it has grown. There's mainstream adoption, possibilities here. It's really cool.
That's what I got out of it.
Grandma can get some Bitcoin if she wants, because there's a case for not doing self-custody.
Right.
Various people.
Of course, elderly and stuff. Yeah, of course. And then
But then the other side of my brain was like, this is so cringe. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Government.
But I knew that was going to happen. Like, I think there's people who when I ever heard Roger Ver talk about his utopia, I'm like, cool story, but that's just not going to happen.
No.
Because that's not how humanity works, right? If you read anything about history, it's like, that's just not how it's going to work.
Well, that's the anarchist dream.
Correct.
That we can all be good people and we can all do whatever it is that we want and nobody's going to get hurt.
Right.
Communism didn't work this time, but I'm going to control this time.
No, but
I'm going to run it right.
Communism without the sharing.
You did it wrong. We're going to do it right.
Yeah.
And
but let's look at the glass half full too. I think you were saying you got some positive stuff out of it in terms of mass adoption because.
Well, yeah. Well, mass adoption, and then I don't know, kind of just onboarding people to the Pulse Chain and kind of talking to the individuals and
what was the reception?
Well, it's just difficult when you're talking to a Bitcoiner that doesn't actually know DeFi and liquidity pools and staking. And
so some of them do, though.
Some of them do, but majority of the people that are newer to the space, I think that's probably going to be 70, 60% of the
They're true, but those new guys are more true to actual Bitcoiners than the OG Bitcoiners, because the OG guys are dealing with the banks, they're selling. They're the whole trickle down effect when Bitcoin pumps. It's Bitcoin OGs investing into shitcoins.
Yeah,
I mean that's the money. That's what happens.
I think that you were nailing it when you're saying that how do you talk to them about liquidity pools and all these things, because those are all very important for understanding what they've gotten themselves into and what actually exists out there, because. For instance, liquidity and what that means to the market. They don't even understand that, all of these things are tied to one another through correlation. Maybe not causation, meaning if people buy Bitcoin, then Hex goes up.
Right.
But because people buy Bitcoin, the whole ecosystem moves because everything moves together.
Correct.
And we've all moved up because of what Bitcoin.
And that's what BlackRock, I think, realized this cycle. Because what I was thinking at the beginning of the cycle was so Wall Street comes in and they're like, we don't want to change the whole song and dance because, to be honest, we kind of like what you guys got going on here, right? But as Wall Street, we like to throw wrenches in the chain, right?
Yeah.
And so what can we do to fuck this one up? But not too much. Oh, let's bastardize Ethereum somehow. I don't know. Like, that's my conspiracy theory, basically, right? Because like, if you can mess up Ethereum, then you can pump your bags, nobody else's. You give as much possible time for institutions to and states and nation states to accumulate Bitcoin when everybody's asleep, because there's no bull market going on, or there's not so much altcoin mania that retail's not paying attention for, that gives them maybe 6 years they can accumulate. Whereas if they pump it like crazy, like they could, right, then everybody's paying attention. They don't get their bags that they want.
But see, I think they knew that before they went into this.
Okay.
I think they knew, because if you look back at my streams, 8 months ago, I was screaming at the top of my lungs that I'm watching OTC trades every day, billions of dollars going in. I was screaming about it. I said, guys, you don't move old Bitcoin that's, 10 years old out of a wallet into a brand new wallet and say that there's not something going on there. It was an OTC trade. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, without Bitcoin moving, BlackRock goes, hey, we got all our Bitcoin. Whoa, shit. Bam.
And all
Bitcoin
these companies
goes to-
getting in GameStop's like, we bought so much Bitcoin recently. Where's it on the chart?
Yeah.
I don't see
The
it.
chart's not showing that.
Yep.
The chart's showing retail FOMOing right now is what it's showing. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And
OGs.
you're not seeing all this OTC bullshit that's been going on out there. There's a lot of Bitcoin that's moved this last year.
Yep.
And it does not reflect. It should be 250 right now if that was all market buys going on.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't. It was Bitcoin maxis selling out their bags to BlackRock and
Mhm.
all the other people that were buying.
Right.
And, and nobody calls that out. Now, because they did that, they didn't move the market. I think they knew what they were doing.
Yep.
They knew that they could, manipulate the market by OTC trading. And of course they're going to. They're not going to, they could have went to exchanges and asked them for, whatever, a buy or whatever, but they didn't.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Unless they could have bought, I don't know, reserves off of the exchange or whatever that was off the books or what, I don't know.
yeah.
Mining companies might have, unloaded some too. I can't, say it's all the maxis, but there was a significant amounts of Bitcoin that was sold and it was OTC'd.
Yeah.
And I don't see those trades happening right now.
Mm.
You don't see monster whale trades happening right now. It's all, you just see all market buys and everything's just moving the price that way. So
I want to touch on something you mentioned, about the new people being more true to Bitcoin than the original Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
Right. Because they've already made their money. They're happy. They're retired. Right. And it just, it leads me to think, okay, like how do we educate? Like, how do we get them to understand
The crypto mindset course.
Whoa.
I think, I don't know. I heard there's something called the crypto mindset course, which people can get into for a cool $9.98.
And what would I
something
learn
like that.
there, Charlie?
You might learn DeFi strategies, Pulse Chain, Sonic. Scottie Pippen may make an appearance this quarter. Who the fuck knows? Miguel, what would you say to that?
I mean, for less than the cost of 1% of a Bitcoin. I mean, just nothing. I mean, just Satoshis, just Satoshis.
Right.
You
Just 100
You can go from A to Z, from zero to hero, basically.
You buy this for $39.99. Guess what, folks? You take the L away. You put a W there, baby. You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks. Let me tell you something. You buy this set at $39.99, baby. You're the cock of the walk, man. You walk into the bar and you just find the hottest chick and you go, you, me. Guess what? She says, why would I go out with you? Because I bought the deal on Wild West Deals for $39.99. That's why. She says, can I go home with you? That's how simple it is. That's how it works. That's what this set brings to the table. Because you know what she sees? She sees a man who knows what he wants. She sees a man who says, good deals don't get by me, baby. I move. I act quick. I act now. I go to wildwestdeals.com. Boom. That's why you're hanging with chicks all night long. That's why you got guys like Michael Jordan calling you, wanting to hang out with you, baby. Because you bought it for $39.99.
We may
Is there
have
a dating
to adjust
service for this crypto mindset? I mean, I'm
Well, I mean, we could get a network going if that's a, what do you call it, a request. But what you were saying, Miguel?
I was saying, before I was so violently rugged.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out very soon. Basically get educated in DeFi and crypto, learn how to actually hodl your Bitcoin or any other crypto really. And the cool thing is really just learn how to kind of wheel and deal in the space. You don't have to do it, but it's nice to know how to self-custody your coins and actually how to earn yield, basically, or not actually. Just to know what not to do, basically, is very, very important, because most people lose their money. It's usually very beginner mistakes. You give your wallet out to somebody, you miscopy an address, gone. You start telling everybody about your crypto. That's a huge one. Yeah. That's what we have. It's
SJ, you were talking about that before
I
the
was
stream,
talking about
right?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
there's all these guys like that. What was it? It was the Kentucky Crypto King had a Italian guy that was here on a passport or something that was his business partner, and then basically torched him for about like 3 weeks until the guy ran out of the apartment, like Jeffrey Dahmer style.
And he didn't snitch out. He didn't snitch out.
My mom,
really?
Yeah.
No, they didn't get a dime out. He basically told him, okay, my laptop's over here. And there was tons of people reporting on it. It's like, no way, crypto bro lasted 3 weeks of torture. He's like, dog, you don't know how much Bitcoin I had.
No, my mom saw that and was like legit concerned for me. And actually, I just saw someone posting on my feed about, don't go to these, be careful, blah blah blah. And so it's like a double-edged sword for me, right? Because I do understand, yes, we should be careful. Like, I'm not going to post my wallet anywhere. Like, I don't want to show, what I have. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to live in fear. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't want that to stop me from going out in public, being public about, what I believe in, in terms of DeFi and, what I think is could be great for society, right? Like,
especially when a centralized exchange gets hacked, like Coinbase. And if you had a large balance there and they got your phone number and your address and everything, like, it's legit concern.
I was of the opinion, I mean, I live in an entrepreneurial area in California where, everybody's got a Mercedes. My neighbor's got a freaking Rolls Royce, $250,000, $500,000 Rolls Royce.
Does he have a driver?
Very rarely, but it's there, and everybody knows it's there.
Yeah.
And, there's people with Porsches and money and all that other stuff, and people that own big businesses and they're worth millions, and they don't live in fear, and they don't live in, they don't hide. Some live in gated communities and whatnot, but they don't run around in fear. So that was my opinion at first. But then as I started streaming and learning who was in this space and how easy it was to wrench attack or attack people through hacks, and I've just seen it's rampant. And here's the problem. Try and go get an agency, a 3-letter agency, to help you get your crypto back or help you find a hacker that hacked you. It's easy to do. The space is full of people like that. I mean, one of the guys on my show committed murder in LA.
Okay, run that back a little bit, RG, because I'm like, what?
So
what?
We had a guest
okay,
would show up in the early days of Discourse Syndicate.
Oh, I see. Kind of like a Joe Rogan little thing, because that one guy came out of prison on Joe Rogan saying it was like, I'm all reformed, and then like 3 weeks later he killed somebody.
Yeah. And it was the same thing. He the guy, he was just one of those wild, crypto bros and talking shit and memeing and doing all that shit, and coming on the show drunk every now and then. And then all of a sudden he ripped somebody in the community off for a significant amount of money. Multiple people. And then he ended up disappearing. And then I'm watching the news, and here's this guy on the news. He killed a security guard at a hotel complex or apartment complex that he was having at a party at. And then they found him asleep on a bench with the gun.
Bro.
I mean, and that, it's like that opened my eyes to like, we got some freaking wild ones in this group, and you got to kind of, And I've dealt with hacks. I've had it happen to me and my partners and stuff. And it's just hard to get these agencies to even look at it. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, and they still like, the FBI's like, we can't really do anything about it. You got to go and hire white hat hacker folks in order to find where the problems are. So. I was of the opinion that it wasn't something to be careful of. And now I am like, you got to be a little more careful out here in this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heavily armed.
Carrying in 47 states is a good idea.
I have a positive spin on the conference. we all had we got the negative impression covered.
I got some positives too.
Yeah.
I'll
But
throw
the
some
regular
positives.
people that I chatted with, like people just sitting next to me in the audience or whatever that I conversed with, were actually, even though they're Bitcoin people, they were open-minded. Like
I saw that too.
Yeah.
And I did
like,
see that like when we did the Miami one when Pulse Chain first came out in like what was that 2 years
same
ago?
with that one, same in Nashville.
There was a lot
same
of people
thing.
when Pulse Chain first came out, they were like actually open to hearing about it.
And I wasn't chilling hard, but I'm like, oh, I'm mainly into Ethereum and Pulse Chain. He goes, oh, really? Oh, cool. Tell me, like, I don't really understand a smart contract. Can you tell me about it? Like you wanted to learn. So the big wigs maybe are hardcore maxi and stuff, but the regular people.
Oh yeah, they're all willing to jump into the to the degeneracy. And we tried to get different people to buy some PDGC and stuff like that. Like my sales pitch for Pulse Chain was basically like Richard Hart tickers, right? Ignore the Interpol notice and look at the SEC case. Actually understand that, right? And then buy some PDGC because that's the only other thing on chain that's actually worth a damn. But I mean, there's other stuff that's trying to be built that's cool and stuff like that. But there's meme coin plays and whatever. But like, I mean, I did respect that there's people out here actually trying to organically build the Pulse Chain community, like all you guys are, because like that's what we need to succeed. And I'm not going to name names, but there's some large organizations out there that had a lot of money from Pulse Chain. I mean, look at 90% of all the sacrifices, right? And they all rugged and left the community. Where how much richer would they have been if they had stayed, right?
Actually did something for their project or
Right.
liquidity.
So can you kind of explain?
Well, and-
can you? I want to hear Coach speak about that a little bit because like I know you've been working hard on that.
Well, it's just like when it comes to like all the sacrifice projects, it's like, yes, it's going to cost X amount for the developers and the development team on a monthly basis, but at the same time, you got to do the math before you actually come out with the product, before you actually have the sacrifice and actually have a roadmap and a plan and a structure in place.
So can you just give me the too long didn't read version of how did PDGC do that? How did they become somewhat successful on the chain? And why is it not a scam?
Well, why is it successful? Because I'm a honey badger and I never stop sleeping. So or I never.
And
sleep.
you actually provided liquidity off your own
and,
fucking back. Like, I respect the shit out of
then,
that.
And then burnt all of it. So
Right.
But at the same time, when PGC was launched, it's like, all right, here's me and TG Zen, the founder of PGC, who kind of like did kind of I won't call it a roadmap, but just like I don't know,
A plan.
yeah, like a meme plan. So like, but it was just like at the very beginning, nobody knew about it. Nobody thought of it about this idea. This was a new type of lens and kind of like studying liquidity pools and looking at like Hart's law and how factually correct that is. Just knowing that so at first was just get the trust of the community, burn this liquidity. It's going to be forever on PulseX, forever. And then plan out like with me, like my networking and knowing B Roots and Ian and Mando and some other big players and trying to reach out to like RG3 at the very beginning, and then
you guys scared the shit out. they creep into my DMs with these cryptic freaking UFO
alien stuff.
I'm like, what the hell is this? The aliens are coming to get me. But my question to you, Coach, is what date did you guys actually say this is what we're going to do? Let's make a roadmap and build it.
Well, I wouldn't really call it a roadmap. Just a plan.
But when did you guys say, hey, we're going to build something and let's do it?
So TG Zen, the founder, he's been building this idea for about 2 years. So he was looking and studying different cryptos, and he was just like trying to get like studying Hex and studying Safe Moon and random like shit tokens and stuff like that. What they did good, what they did bad, and tried to bring the best idea that aliens could actually think about. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like between like he reached out to me because I was kind of like in depth and learning about PDI and Entropa, and we don't need to get all into that, but like
well, we can.
Conceptually, the concepts
I never believed.
The concepts are what work.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, technically, I met him about a year and a half before, a year and a half.
Maria?
No, TG Zen.
Oh,
The founder of PGC. And we met on Zen Spaces, and we realized we lived about like 10, 15 minutes away from each other. So that's how we built that relationship at the very beginning.
How long after Pulse launched?
And what's
no,
the
it was
address?
before. No.
Oh, it was before Pulse launched.
It was actually before Pulse Chain launched, and
you went to your house, got your gun, and then what?
No.
Give me your seed phrases.
I met his wife and his kids, and he just actually had a newborn baby girl about a month and a half ago.
Wow.
So, yeah, but it's just like he called me on the phone. He was just like, "Hey, I got this." He wasn't really well known in the Pulse Chain ecosystem, so it's just like, "All right, let's do it." And he kind of like showed me the website, showed me everything. Everything was done, by the way, by the time he like called me. Website, contract, all that. And then it was just like it clicked. And I was just like, yeah, let's go. Let's do this. Because if you really think about it, delaying gratification in actually providing a reward system of just the volume of the ecosystem, and you can claim that reward to better your life, pay bills, or DCA into Pulse, PHEX, EHEX, Inc. And actually, I'm not going to lie, PGC is a little bit better yield to get more hex if you actually wanted to, depending about your bag and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, and then B-Root started talking about us, Ian started talking about us, going on to their streams, then reaching out to other influencers and other people that I know around the ecosystem and outside the ecosystem, because like that's one of the most important things,
right?
So you want to bring people to Pulse Chain. Yes. So,
but all these other sacrifice projects were like, you know what, that sounds like a lot of work.
Well, yeah.
Well, in their defense, and I'm definitely not defending all of them.
Yeah, each one has their own little special
everybody
situation.
Decided that, hey, I want to get in on this. I want to build something. I want to get something out. And, Richard put the sacrifice model out there. And I think a lot of people weren't educated enough because let's face it, this is the wild, wild west of crypto right here. Like what you guys have done is like never been seen before. No one's ever tried it. Nobody's ever done it. I mean, you took different concepts from things that were out there, but you used Pulse Chain and, all of its parameters to make a better system. And you guys did a phenomenal, hats off to you guys. You did a phenomenal job. But the people before were trying to bring things, other technologies and stuff out there, and using the sacrifice model to do so. And we all know what happens with the sacrifice model. And what it does is it taxes the project because they put that liquidity out there. They're coin dumps. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
And so they are in a conundrum where they either look like they're doing something wrong, or they're just going to dump their project anyway if they put the money out there.
Right. So and like the thing is,
I'm not defending them.
No. I'm not.
But has that been fully vetted out? Because I haven't seen a single project use any of that money to any real extent to actually pump the price or to maintain the chart at all.
Richard.
I mean, yeah.
You know what?
Right.
So it's like that.
But at least there's but
at least on the it was a bad ETH trade.
Yeah, I mean,
also,
I mean, there's no excuse in that. That ETH trade was fucking
and again,
horrible.
Sacrifice. We got to remember that the sacrifice was made to CYA the project from taking in ICO funds.
Yeah, but he like Richard and some of these other projects, right? Like they've been like completely transparent, and like the main thing is like, if you raise that much, you got to give people a fighting chance. And I know the market hasn't been like the craziest bull market we've ever seen or anything like that, but like if you do raise that much, like at least have one liquidity event where you're like, okay, we're gonna put $1 million into liquidity, and people can trade, people can do whatever.
Yeah,
God.
Or a little bit,
but,
something.
Or like then they have plausible deniability, right?
Or the XRP strategy.
Well,
just pay
the concept too.
Pay a bunch of
what happens if we put the liquidity in.
Exactly.
The price dumps back down to where it was anyway.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's just a vaporization of the funds.
Right.
I feel like I have a unique view on this because when all of that was happening, I was very new to the space. And this is probably a big reason why I'm the positivity princess and I talk the way I do about things, because of the way Richard framed the sacrifice, I felt the same way about the other sacrifices I participated in. I literally had no expectations. You know?
Yeah,
and
I have no
of course, I didn't
expectations
put
except for
much
the
in.
token to come out and actually have.
Actually do.
For the token to come out and to be able to be used, like that's a utility, right?
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah, I guess that. I mean,
because like you're
that's a
gonna
good
if you make a token, you're gonna make it for utility, not for rug pulling other people's bags.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Or you
part of
would
me just
assume,
was thinking,
unless it's
like,
a meme coin. If they're all
I'm
meme coins, I
50-50
get it.
in your court, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand what I do, but then there's that other side where I go, I don't think it's a nefarious act on
Correct.
the other side. I think that it was an error, and
I
was
think
not,
people
they didn't
when
plan out like these guys
right.
planned out.
And when I say that criticism, I think people assume like I'm assuming nefarious stuff, and I don't think that at all. I'm just like one of those things where it's like people, the whole community's thinking this. We gotta fucking talk about it.
I was just
right?
excited to see things being built on Pulse. I mean, like, you know,
Yeah, me
even
too,
before
yeah.
I was just
Everybody
like, oh,
was.
this is
In fact, that's one thing in their defense is that was the bull market. So everybody was
Right,
flush
capital.
with the
Which I
ability
didn't
to
even know that.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Correct.
Price tanked, and that's not really the fault of the founder.
Absolutely.
That's where I
Yeah.
kind of feel for them.
That's everybody's running the hills and go, whoa, hold on. I ain't
Yeah.
giving up any of this. This crypto ain't worth the shit now. you
Right.
know? And
But then you
that's
say you feel for him a bit, and then you got how many millions of dollars off that? I don't feel for him at all.
Not that part.
Well,
and I hear you.
well, like another thing when it comes to like I don't know, like the fame or maybe I'm not going to name names, but anyways, the sacrifice projects. It's like
I mean, literally, you can name them all. They're
Okay.
okay. Everyone knows all of them. Like it's,
liquid loans. But it's just like I was streaming 5 days a week, 6:30 in the morning from January to about August, September. Now I just do 3 days a week because I just got burnt out. But it's just like the most important things is get eyeballs to the chart,
Yep.
eyeballs to the chart,
Yep.
eyeballs to the chart.
Yep.
It's like, and with that being said, it's like it's for me. I have a different kind of like viewpoint and like long-term message to actually onboard people to Bullchain and like build. It's like I'm a builder. I'm born on the 22nd. I'm a master builder. I'm an 8th life path. So and
numerology doesn't work, dude.
I know, but it's pretty cool.
Richard says
talk
so.
about. I know, but he says it's pretty cool.
Numerology.
Good narrative.
I know.
Just for him to mention it fucking cracks me up.
When I saw that, I was like, literally, I was like thinking to myself, I was like, Richard, are you talking to me right now?
I think it's because he's a 9. He's double 9 or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So-
one thing great that you did, and also Prairie Banana. And
Yeah,
other
Prairie
people is
Banana.
like relentlessly getting the message out.
Yep.
And that's-
Even to the point where it's repetitive.
yeah.
Yeah, it's marketing and getting the thing out. Yeah.
But you never know when you're going to get a new user in there. Like
Exactly.
even the people I was talking to at the conference, the thing that perked their ears up was yield.
Mhm.
One guy was like, or I talked about it first, like, oh, in some DeFi protocols, I earn yield. And he said, well, I earn yield too. I'm on Coinbase and I staked, some tokens.
That's not yield.
Yeah, I mean it is, and
Yeah.
and it isn't. And
Also
he
not
was
But
actually interested.
Not your coins.
It's
And I threw out a
education.
couple names for him too.
Right.
I'm like 2 fucks, PTGC, like things you can stake and
Yeah.
earn yield.
It's education. We've got to realize that this community is the smartest of the smart in crypto.
Yes, it
Period.
is.
End of story. And I knew that from day one when in the hex.com, before Richard launched Hex, the smartest of the smart were showing up there. I mean, just brilliant, know, and I knew that this community was going to go far. And then as soon as Richard started bringing alpha out and talking about liquidity and creating things like Hex, which, I mean, imagine all those people that were looking at miners, if you told them that, hey, I can show you a way to create a DeFi miner that will blow away anything that you could even possibly think of purchasing here today, just by purchasing Hex and creating your own miner. And they'd be like, what? Educate me. And if you show them how Hex, mirrors, a proof of stake mining algorithm versus a proof of work algorithm and how much better it is than Bitcoin. And the fact that you're not going to get your miner, you're not going to make any gains off of it. If you're just some guy that's here at this convention thinking that you're going to buy a miner and, hook it up in your freaking garage and start printing Bitcoin, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're trying to sell that dream and not educate people about things like what Richard has done and what this ecosystem provides with things like PTGC and whatnot, it's for naught. We've got to go out and educate, and like what you guys are doing, is perfect. We're actually going to kind of play off of you guys, and we're going to go outside of crypto and start teaching people how to do
I
DeFi.
like that.
Yeah,
how
absolute
to
basics.
get a wallet.
Because they want to know. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They know.
They do.
And teach them DeFi from the beginning.
Right.
You know, and not say, oh, you need to get some Bitcoin. You know, no, let's show them how to onboard into DeFi, how to self-custody a wallet, how to onboard, offboard their crypto, and you know what proof of stake is and how that works. And forget all that other stuff, because all that other stuff is dilapidated and we shouldn't even be talking about it anymore.
Except if you look at, you know, risk reward type stuff and risk management, like Bitcoin doesn't hurt the portfolio, right? It makes you, well, yeah.
That's
quantum computing,
that's an important thing.
Quantum computing
it
happens.
is important, because if you get people in today and this thing, really people start to see it for what it is, which I saw it today. Like, if people aren't seeing what this is now, then they don't get it, because it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And it's only going to be a matter of time. They're going to pump the shit out of this. BlackRock's in. It ain't going nowhere. It's going to go to fucking 250 or whatever.
And we're going to have positive side effects from that.
We're going to have positive side effects from it. But what's the blowout? The blowback? What's it going to look like 3, 4, 5 years from now?
The EU has a central bank digital currency, and a few other countries too.
I ain't worried about Europe. They're cooks.
Well, I mean, they're fucking themselves over.
I know they're
fucking.
yeah. But what's the end game? They're just trying to keep capital there and shore, like
control everybody's money, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, got it.
Be able to have an off switch.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to start somewhere with new people, and you know, Bitcoin and ETH can have a place. Like, all right, shout out to these guys' crypto mindset course. Like, that's one of your tenets is start with
that's college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where you go get your college education.
Yeah, it's a boot
in
camp.
DeFi and whatnot. Boot camp.
And the other,
we need elementary school to get people in and show them, you know, the basics. And
great thing about their course is they encourage diversification. I was in that course. Apparently, I didn't listen because I'm like 80% our age. So I
only.
But I mean, that's a choice too, right?
Yeah.
So, but you know the risk that you're taking when you're doing something, you know, in DeFi.
Choice.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas, like, a lot of people, they're like, I'm all in on Shiba Inu. Why? Somebody else told me to do it. you know, like they don't know what the fuck risk they're taking.
I'll tell you, I still get more calls for all these shit coins that are out there, you know, versus what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, I'm talking friends and family.
Yeah.
That know that,
dude, they're the hardest to convert.
They see my life, my lifestyle, and they want to talk to me because they know I'm the crypto guy in the family.
Yo.
You know, but they don't want to do what I say. They want to do what their fucking idiot at work or their next door neighbor told them. Hey, dude, you got to get fart coin, man. Yeah. Hey, can you tell me about fart coin? No, I can't.
And that, you know, to your point earlier about us.
And then it moons and I look like an idiot, but you know.
You know,
I think to me, one of the most bullish things, and especially like being at this conference and talking to people, I felt real smart. Yeah. You know, like it just, no, there's just these moments where I'm just like, wow, like I really understand this. And there's a lot of people who just don't get it.
Yeah, there were some very smart people at that conference.
Absolutely.
I talked to them and they're like, wait, it doesn't seem possible that you can earn yield, but you still have your own keys. Like, don't you have to send it somewhere?
Right.
They don't get that.
There's many ways to earn yield, but it has to be coded into it has to be put into the sort of source code of it and stuff.
And I don't know what that's going to apply to in the Genius Act, but you know, the Genius Act is that you can't earn yield on the stables. There's a clause in there that says, and I should look it up and probably
R.I.P. Sonic.
State it properly. But there is something in there that says about yield on stablecoins.
Hey, pairs, you're probably cool.
They might retract that because like
it's just the single-sided that applies to, right?
Oh, is it single-sided?
You can still provide pairs.
Oh, okay. If it's single-sided, okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. Right.
And we know how many politicians read these things, right?
Yeah, zero.
Stablecoin. So here's a key provision. It says stablecoins are prohibited from offering yield or interest on their stablecoins. This means under the Genius Act, payment stablecoins cannot be designed or marketed as yield-bearing products.
So no Luna.
No Luna.
No Luna.
Right.
Yeah. But this is in a way to kind of cut. It was there to cut out Maker and DAI, because this was their big thing right now, that they were going to convert themselves into an L1. This is why Vitalik dumped all his Maker tokens, and they were going to start offering basically a 30-year treasury, whatever that is, like 5%, maybe 4% yield, and for holding DAI effectively, right? Once they convert into the new token, but now they've totally neutered DAI, killed the founder. I mean, I mean, everything. I mean,
Well, the CIA probably killed the founder.
So here's where that kind of trickles into DeFi, where I get a little wishy-washy with the Genius Act and what it says about that.
okay.
So here's the wording that kind of makes things difficult, and that's like when I talk about Hex, I don't think of Hex as a yield-bearing crypto. I think of it as a mining crypto, that you're mining more Hex. Your Hex is making more Hex.
Right.
You're not mining another coin. You're not getting dollars. You're not getting a stable coin, that kind of stuff. But what it says, the act specifically excludes stable coins that offer interest or yield from its regulatory framework, likely treating them as securities, meaning that if something's generating yield, that it is going to be automatically deemed as security. So that's, like I said, it doesn't specifically say that, but that can be interpreted in law somewhere where they can say that something that's generating yield is now a security, and only stable coins and legitimate stable coins that are following regulatory are not securities. So that's where I kind of wonder where they're going to take this Genius Act to, because some of this is vague that's in there. It still has to be litigated, and when they litigate it, that's when they start putting stamps on it. Here, and that's where we're at with it. This is just a framework for what future litigation is going to look like.
Part of this too of the whole Genius Act was, I agreed with this because I think it's long term been kind of a U.S. sort of like digital, essentially kind of financial strategy. Effectively, is using crypto to essentially rug other currencies and strengthen the dollar, and basically export and absorb inflation, and basically and hurt other currencies basically, because through the Genius Act now they have to be backed either by straight dollars or dollar-backed assets, which are like mortgage-backed securities or 30-year treasuries, or I'm not sure about the muni bond.
It doesn't have to be monitored, by the way, according to Saylor.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be monitored, right?
Or shouldn't be.
Or shouldn't be, right? He got in trouble back in the late 90s for not reporting shit correctly either. And he ran this little Ponzi game he's doing in terms of levered up, and then it bit him in the ass. He was one of the single largest losses in a single day in Wall Street
the
history.
one positive part of the Genius Act, though. It's like you can't create a stable that's backed by nothing and can.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be dollar for dollar. Yeah.
Yeah. The cringe part is when they start, locking wallets and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it kind of does make sense in terms of like, all right, you can have if I have $1 billion right now, like I'm starting a stable coin, I can just buy, like right now, the 30-year treasury costs 5%. Damn. Okay, cool. That's a lot of decent money. So make it so cool. All right, take your $1 billion, give you $1 billion stable coins. They're backed by 30-year treasuries, which there's super liquid. And on top of that, you're making like $50 million a year on that billion or more.
Silly.
For 30 years, and at the end of the 30 years, you get the $1 billion back.
Well, didn't RH put or some of the DAI put into the MakerDAO?
Initially, I had to make some money and stuff. I think that was there to like pay for some of I think it was for some of the costs and stuff in terms of running the network on like Amazon or whatever he was running it on.
The Amazon Web Service?
AWS, yeah.
Now, people like to talk about RH's trade, where he got all that ETH in the stack wallet for like 3,700 or whatever. But I have a positive conspiracy theory, which is he did that for other reasons, not trying to time the market and buy low.
There was someone.
Was it because back then, like, wasn't it getting a little sketchy, like the stability of the stable coins? It seems like a long time ago.
Well, we lost USDC for a couple of days there.
Yeah, so I think his move might have been more strategic,
to keep the funds safe.
That's actually pretty smart.
And then what was the other one? The other stable coin that we were all using.
Tether, DAI, USDC.
No, it was the one. Doggone it! I got money stuck in there when it happened. One of their money holders went insolvent on them, and they had to shut everything down. TUSD.
TUSD. Yeah.
TUSD, and then it's BUSD in the UK or whatever. They have different ones for different. But they one of their money houses or whatever went insolvent. And I had money in there stuck at one point when it all went down. And it happened here in Nevada, actually, is where it went. But yeah, there was problems at that time. Things were shaky and whatnot. And but when everything I saw Richard do was just continuously trying to make the system more and more decentralized. I mean, look what he did with the validators. You know, the initial validators came online as soon as the community had enough validators to make up for that. Boom, pulled them off, burnt the coins. You know,
right.
It was like every step he made, he just continuously made it more and more decentralized, more and more out of his hands. You know, making and I don't know the technical term, you probably do. Making the fact that you can run it from your computer versus having to go, you know, into a website or front end or whatever. You know, it's just you have total DeFi now, and people don't realize how important that is.
And you don't need that much computer power to run a node either.
No,
which is really cool.
I run a validator, and it's a little box that, you know, just doesn't hum loud and scream. It just little.
And if you download the software like PulseX or Hexstaking or whatever, it actually runs faster. Like sometimes if you use the default IPFS link, a little slow, shift, use the one you downloaded.
Boom.
So,
yeah, I've done that a couple of times. Switch it.
So cool. But and
then you could put 1,000 validators on one of those machines, and they say you could even put more, but like thousands, like they say that's where they think the limit's at, but they say you can put more on there. So one little box, you know, goes a long way.
Right. Well, and like, what do you call it? How many of those validators are run by just a few people, and how many of them are run by, like, what do you call it? Just like wider community people? Do you think like if there's 1,000 per validator, that there's like less than 100 people running that?
There's 40,000 validators, something like that.
Right.
So we got 40,000 validators, and then you got to look at all your sharks and your whales and your dolphins, and you can add that up. We've got, you know, ways to look at that. There's probably from you know, dolphins to whales, there's probably about 250, 350, you know, individual wallets that you know, look like that. So those folks could have, you know, 100 to 500 to 1,000, you know, validators, and then so you do all the math on that, in which they probably don't all do that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Plus, we have a community member, David Feeder, shout out David.
Yeah.
Who shows up as one entity, but he's hosting validators for hundreds of people.
I mean, it's a lot of money. It's like, what is it?
And now we got Project Pi and things like that are doing the virtual validators and whatnot. So, I mean, it's the most decentralized network out there, and anybody can do it, and it's getting more and more decentralized, and more validators coming. I'm always advocating for that. I mean, when I first saw Bitcoin, I wanted to be a miner because I wanted to be part of the system. It's like, I want to be part of that. I want to help, you know, provide the network.
Right.
Not just invest in it and whatever. But this is a way for the normal person to actually be part of the system that way. You know, because I mean, that's what everybody here wants. That's why all those validator booths were or the mining booths were all packed because people want to be part of the system. They want to, you know, generate yield. They want to generate more Bitcoin. But it's just too difficult in the proof of work world.
So where do you kind of think the Pulse Chain community is right now in terms of like maturity? So like some of these guys, right? Like they basically
emotional maturity, or
well,
we can dive into that.
Yeah, well, let's start there. Let's start there, right?
If we go by Twitter.
Well, but I mean, they have
my DMs.
They have to learn a lot of fucking hard lessons, right? Like, there's got to be a hack that happens on every chain. There's got to be people stealing funds. There's got to be all this bad shit. We've seen so much negative stuff happen throughout the cycle. And again, like, it's partially Ethereum. It's not like all the fault of everything that's happening on chain, stuff like that. So like, and obviously, you know, how do we like get people from other communities to come over? How do we not? You know, stuff like that. So like, where do you think, like, okay, what has this community learned? Because like, I think with like PDGC, with other projects, you have roadmaps for stuff that's actually working, and we know what doesn't work. Right. So we've seen kind of like people test a lot of different theories, concepts. We've seen the extraction part of the cycle. So like, what I'm trying to figure out is like, where is the Pulse Chain community in the sense of like, okay, this is a cycle where we learn how not to get rugged by bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Next cycle, how do we improve? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are we going to attract builders like this, or are people like Coach and other people who try to do these projects, are they going to be like, you know what? I'd probably get more appreciation if I went over to XYZ chain, right?
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing happen. We're
Yeah.
seeing people, well, we're going to launch on a Solana, or we're going to go to, Sui, or we're going to go,
Go to
we're going to do this.
Mhm.
And I think it's because, so here's what we had. So we have the Wild Wild West. We have the best of the best. I mean, you got to agree that building on Pulse Chain was easier than it would be anywhere else. You guys had the ability to utilize technology and do it for inexpensive. It was inexpensive because Ethereum, very hard to launch a project on or whatnot. So it was very easy to come over here and grift.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of that, and crypto's full of those guys because they won't. We can't. I put my manifesto on Twitter about this, about the scammers, and we're all trying to pump this ecosystem so that we can all make money and other people can come in and make money too, because we don't want to bring people in to create exit liquidity. We want to bring people in to solidify the network and grow it.
Right. Well, that's what I thought. Like a lot of people from the beginning, they're like, that's what they say, but then their actions are just super short-sighted, right?
Yeah.
So,
or
like,
they see how easy it is to grift, and human beings are human beings. And,
Right.
and it's like, oh man, that cookie jar is right there. I'm going to eat the cookie,
Yep.
and that's what we see a lot of them doing. Now, I mean, there's the nefarious actors. There's I'm going to just grab a couple of cookies. And then there's the
Right.
people that just screwed up. Right. And made mistakes and their projects failed.
Watch your guru.
So we've got a whole spectrum of different people coming into the space, but unfortunately, in a bear market, when people are hurting, when people are getting, they had champagne dreams and caviar wishes with this new project that was coming out and they got rugged, or this meme didn't work out for them or whatever.
Yep.
Then they get mad. And it turns into a war, which we've seen in the community. And this is where I'm talking about the emotional side of things. And the focus is on that. And, and a lot of it was Richard Hart doing the same thing in the crypto space,
Right.
He got so disillusioned with how they were treating him that he said, okay, is this how you guys want to do it? Well, then I'll give you what you want. Here it is, and he
Right.
started twerking in Gucci, freaking jumpsuits, and so we got negative attention, and the community got negative attention.
Right.
And instead of focusing on projects like Coaches with PTGC, we're focused on the scammers, and we're not teaching and educating and showing people how the chain really works and what it can really do for people.
Right.
We're spending time on the scammers, the rug pulls, the failures, all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, and of course their project's going to shine in the bull market. And then that's when the light will get shined on it. I think that, the emotional, acumen of the community is going to grow with the bull market.
Right. Well, and also, I mean, I've seen the community self-regulate, right? They've said, like, we like these things, we don't like these things, right? And that right there is very important, because there's sometimes, right, people become habitual line steppers, as you might say, right? Like, where they do this shit all the time. The community says, okay, you showed us your true colors, fuck off, right? Which, that it's like the mob says it, okay, right? And yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, that gives me hope about the community, that everybody's like, okay, we've had enough of this shit. We got to say something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Along those same lines, I've seen a shift, like the scam. I don't have numerical proof, but like I'd say in 2024, we shifted from, a lot of grifting, a lot of shit coins, rugs, whatever, to legitimate protocols that are here to stay. If I tried to rattle them off, there's too many, but yeah, PTGC, some people might not be aware, there's this thing called Actuator, which is like really
protocol.
Advanced, appealing to traditional finance
guys,
for managing the bond yield curve for Hex.
stuff,
Like it's incredible, legitimate stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff we should be focusing on, because that's like real world institutional stuff that is, baked into the Pulse ecosystem.
Yeah,
And-
even some fun things like the anti-gravity project with NFTs. It's not just monkey pictures anymore. Like, it's legitimate stuff.
Oh, real quick. So like the SEC just stated, SEC says crypto staking on proof of stake networks does not involve securities. So that just came out just now.
Yeah.
So the staking is an overloaded term. You
Exactly.
take the token or it's the consensus.
What was the exact wording on that?
Exact wording. Hold on.
Like it's basically like stablecoin staking is not a security.
That's an answer to my question
Earlier. Yeah.
SEC says staking on proof of stake networks does not involve securities.
Okay. So
like staking your Ethereum.
right.
Yeah.
So spot staking Ethereum ETF, here we come.
Yeah. But in other words too, it's just like once you understand the mechanisms of what PGC and UFO, and a lot of people like at one point in time, UFO was the number 8 liquidity farm in all of crypto, and
Really?
a lot of people don't actually know that.
Wow.
And PGC got as high, I think, as 195 in the world of crypto as well. When Pulse Chain is flat or down, so it's like once you actually think about those measures, and it's like, why do you think I built out X protocol? Because I want to kind of bring people over to Pulse Chain, but also provide value. Like look into PGC. Has anybody looked into a website? And it's like once you see like the moon math, and it's not really moon math, I kind of call it coach's math, because if you just do, all right, what's this ratio does a 2x on top of Pulse Chain, and Pulse Chain goes to a penny, this is the number you're gonna get. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yep.
You know, this is the number. All right, let's do the opposite effect. All right, negative 80% down on Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain goes to a penny. This is going to be the price of it, regardless of what people feel, emotions. It's like
The math.
yeah, exactly. And like kind of like address the I think a lot of people in the Pulse Chain community, especially the degens, and we don't name all of them, but like they like the drama, they like the shit talking, and that's where in my position I kind of like trying to move past that. Like in the beginning stages, I was talking shit and doing the same thing, and I was just like, you know what, maybe I should just bring on positive energy and just focusing on that kind of stuff and mechanisms to
not only is that good for your mental health, but but also I think that's the way to onboard people from outside the chain.
Absolutely.
Like, we need more than the core coins, which need to be part of your holdings and all that. But think about how appealing PTGC and UFO and some of the other ones would be
huge.
to people on the outside. I think
It's huge.
yeah,
It's huge.
those protocols are what potentially could draw people in, not the core stuff.
Yeah, and the problem
And then they'll
is
discover
that
the core.
when you've got I think they're even saying as high as 5% of the world's in right now or whatever, but anywhere 3 to 5% of the world being in crypto, and then you look at 3 to 5% of crypto being in the Pulse Chain ecosystem. We're a microcosm of a microcosm. So when you do, how do you see something like PGGC when the narrative in the whole community, when you go into the community, is this scam, that scam, Richard this, Richard that, blah, 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 blah. And he is a microcosm of a microcosm of a microcosm with something good. How does that message get out? How do you create the narrative of these are the good things, and that's where we got to work on hard as a community and I'm saying leadership, meaning people that use discernment and speak in a positive light and bring real versus fight,
Right.
and versus trying to defend. And we've got to quit that. We've got to quit that, and we've got to have more rational minds coming together and speaking and talking. And Hex was born in that shit. Our community was born in that shit. So I don't blame it. And I was part of the problem because we went at everybody hard. I danced on a coffin. I did it, and I'm in my proudest moment. But there was
funny though.
It was.
They attacked first.
They beat us first, and it was a football spike. And it felt good at the moment. But what precedent did it set? The Bitcoiners do have that. They have rationality behind them,
Right.
and they can hide behind that. And what I see today gets overlooked because they do have BlackRock in.
Yep.
And that gives them legitimacy, even though to us it ruins crypto. It gives it legitimacy to the rest of the world.
Correct.
Right.
So that's the uphill battle we have, and I think that people in this community, and I'm not saying, we're a volunteer army. we are decentralized. This is crypto. It's not supposed to be anybody that's ruling, but we need leaders out there. And when I say leaders, I mean people that are speaking truth to power, but doing it in a way that is exposing things like PTGC and what Hex does and proof of stake and all that, versus going out there and trying to defend and fight and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we got somebody just came into the studio here. Fresh, what's going on?
What's going on, fellas?
Shit.
Good to be back in Vegas with you guys. Love you guys, man.
Never got to meet you, Fresh.
Oh, Fresh, good to meet you, bro.
Nice to meet you.
Hey,
Fresh, good to meet you, bro.
Good to see you.
I almost did. I was
That's
in
funny.
Florida
You got-
one
you
time.
got
I was
SJ
almost in
behind
the.
I just left the conference, actually.
Okay.
I met the owner of Tron.
Oh, you met
friggin-
the son.
Yo, insane, bro.
What was your so we've been talking about people's opinions on the conference, like, you know, people's opinions in crypto in general. So like, what was your kind of feeling impression of seeing those people?
Well, it's funny. Seeing them on the internet is different from seeing them in person. They're a little bit shorter than usual. But what I will
That
say
is so
is
true.
the money's tall. So it makes up for it. But no, I like the future of where things are going. Just that I don't think I can get behind a specific one coin,
Yeah.
Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is where it's at for sure.
Yeah.
But I also see that like people are rallying behind a movement rather than just
Mhm.
like Bitcoin itself. So it's a movement that people are following more than just a coin,
Yeah.
which I like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good.
Crypto's
So-
an industry.
Yeah, it's an industry, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know about Pulse Chain, obviously.
Yeah. both.
So like, what's your opinion on Pulse Chain, like compared to like other projects, just based on purely whatever opinion you have?
Well, I've heard about it from you guys, so I'm assuming it's good. That's all I know. That's all I know, bro.
Yeah,
Hey,
I like
listen,
that. I like
they
that.
talk, I listen, and I do what they say. That's it.
Fair play. Fair
Fair
play.
play, fair play.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so the movement that you talk about, and I love the fact that you come in here and you're talking about that, because anybody who comes into crypto, of course first thing we see is number go up. We see money, we see dollar signs, and then we look a little deeper and we go, oh man, this fixes the money. This changes things for the regular man out there that's trying to fight the system. And that was the narrative at the beginning. And as we look at Bitcoin today, crypto today, and again, I was birthed in Bitcoin. I came in 2014 as an investor. I've been around since 2009.
Wait, you born with Bitcoin in your hand?
Was that?
Kidding.
So that was my first read was, I saw the green candles. I saw the number go up. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's not PayPal. I thought it was PayPal, and then I read the white paper, and I spent like 48 hours just awake reading and getting all the knowledge that I could. And I'm like, holy shit, this thing's going to change the world.
Mhm.
This is something that can change the world. And then as I went from 2014 to 2017, I saw it change. I saw the grifters come in. I saw the scammers come in. I saw them ruin
As usual.
vision, as
But
usual.
the money came in.
But the money came in.
Mhm.
That's
So it kept us all on it.
right.
And we're gonna stick with this. We're making money. We're doing okay. So we would allow certain things to happen. And now we look at today, we look at BlackRock owning Bitcoin, which was like, if you were to say that in 2014, you'd get laughed out of crypto.
We're walking into Mordor, though.
Yeah.
You know how I know it's bad? When GC got Bitcoin, Grant Cardone.
Mm.
'Cause remember, for years he's like, it's not a good thing to get into. It's so unstable. It's not sure. Fuck Bitcoin. Real estate all the way. And he's like, 150 Bitcoins myself.
Mm.
What's that telling you? It's here to stay, bro.
Yeah.
So
We've even got Warren Buffett speaking favorably about crypto now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not leaned into it 100% yet, but he's speaking favorably about it.
So what do you think
Michael
about?
Saylor hated it. So I'm
Yeah,
Michael
at the
Saylor.
beginning.
Yeah, sure.
But what do you think about AI and Bitcoin now? Like, from what I heard, Lil Birdie told me it's going to be the currency of AI, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, yeah, crypto's definitely going to be the currency of AI. But AI is going to be involved in everything that we do. I mean, there's no escaping it. It's not like it's correlated because
As long as we
crypto.
protect it against quantum computing, where you can
Yeah.
hack.
Whoo, how are we going to do that? That's
Well, it's been
my,
possible.
my son's all over that, man. He's like, yeah, Dad, they're gonna be figuring out C phrases. Really
So
soon.
Grant Man once said, boss up.
Boss.
Coach Greg in the back here. Shout out to you, bro. Boss up. I
Oh,
got
Coach
behind.
Greg. Hey.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Yeah, yeah.
What's up, man?
So, yeah, good shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, AI in general, right? Like, what's the use case for crypto with AI? Well, the AI can own the wallet, the AI can control the funds, and then you can make a smart contract that basically says you can do XYZ things or whatever. So let's say, for example, you want to go and you're like, you know what? I really don't want to take the entire crypto mindset course. I want the AI to learn it for me. So I'm going to get the AI to go and buy, 10 of these different products, do the boot camp for me, and then give me the too long didn't read version. Then I'm going to go in and basically do part of that. So like basically having the bots have a wallet and pay things for you is one thing. Like Elon Musk having, let's say, Tesla accept Doge and Bitcoin and Ethereum allows like for an automated taxi service. So it's just like giving the robots the ability to control money, right? And so that's probably the biggest use case utility that AI has on crypto. And then you're going to see everything in between that, like all these different creative ideas be created for like specific AI coins. One thing that's really cool that artificial super intelligence is doing is they have the most decentralized AI system that you could have, because obviously to run an AI, you need a pretty centralized system. And what do you call it? You can go and do on-chain analysis with their AI bot. You can be like, hey, what do you call it? Michael Saylor doesn't want to tell us what his wallets are. Hey, ASI, how much coins does Michael Saylor have in which wallets and right?
It's
so
insane.
Yeah.
It's
so like
just
that's
insane.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Or you can literally set up your wallet to like buy Bitcoin only. When it doubles in price, sell half of it, send it to your bank account. And then it would just tell you, hey, just send like $50,000 to your account. Oh, cool. And you can literally set it up to sell on like projected prices on major coins or stuff and everything like that. And obviously you could really degenerate. Like you could be like, there's $100,000, 10 coins, and do all this other crazy stuff. But
I mean, could it predict when to buy and sell coins?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well,
You could
Yeah.
make it. You could make it.
Yeah.
Go out there and do analysis and,
Right.
and come really close.
Yeah.
Probably as close as any of the best traders.
Right.
And hey, that's a better advantage
Guess
than
who else
most,
is going to be
right?
able to do
Right.
that with AI? The
But-
IRS.
Yeah.
Pay your taxes.
Yeah, true.
Well, and
They're
then
behind always in technology, but they're going to catch up.
Right.
So,
so
Absolutely.
like one of the things that we actually build out for X Protocol, it's kind of like a balancer. So basically you can set the percentages of like what stable coins or X or Bitcoin, Pulse, ETH or whatever. Could even be
like
stock.
70-30 pools or multi-coin pools.
It basically whatever tokens that you want to track. So say you want 10% Bitcoin, 5% ETH, 5%
Okay, got
Pulse,
it.
and
Okay.
then like 50% stable.
Mhm.
It's already out, but my team are kind of like probably going to do some kind of AI in the future. But
Oh, that's
Interesting.
cool.
Brilliant.
it's gonna be
So
later down the line.
I met a kid, right? 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Go Rush, actually. And he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
He made $20 million last year. And I'm like, how are you doing this, bro? He's an AI.
Mhm.
It builds his store, builds his content creator. For
Yeah.
example, it make a fake person with the product and promote it on TikTok. And
I've
it tracks
watched that guy.
the best products for that month for him to sell.
Mhm.
So he's 21,
Mm.
20 million a month. Sorry, 20 million a year. That's incredible, but all from AI.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I mean, the world's changing, bro. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy, bro.
So Fresh. So tell me,
Yeah.
when you say it's here to stay, what in your mind and I don't know what your knowledge of crypto is, or what I mean, us guys in this room, we're very cutting edge, very we're on the
veterans.
We're nerds.
Well, I
We're
wouldn't
nerds.
wait, veterans,
Just
but
be honest.
we're on the we've taken it to a whole nother level, of with the technology and what it can do, what's possible. And Bitcoin has stagnated as far as technological advances go, and as far as what it can do to fix money and change the world and all that kind of stuff. What to you that you see from at the level of knowledge that you're at in this? What do you see the positives of Bitcoin? What is it that like it makes you say that makes you think that hey, this is good, it ain't going nowhere? What does that tell you? Number go up, or what knowledge do you have at your level of understanding this thing?
Well, I'm more like a. It's funny. My information isn't the best because I'm not studying this shit every day like these guys are.
But that's okay. That's what he
But-
wants to do.
That's what I want to. I want to know what.
But what I will say is, I'm
and
cool.
I'm not trying to put you
I'm cool
down.
with people that know what they're doing because they're at the top. So my reference points are them. For example, I'll go to inauguration. I meet some Elon's people, some of these people. Like, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that. And when government gets involved, it's kind of like the beginning of something either good or something really bad.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Usually bad. So my
Well,
wager,
it's usually
Right.
somebody trying to make some money.
yes,
Yeah.
but then they want to regulate it. So my wager is that like if you're in now, you're good. But at some point, they're going to probably want to clamp down on things and say, listen, this is our stuff now. So you got to pay taxes. And then before you know, it's going to be a little more regulated. But for now, I think it's good to get in because you can get in now, ground floor, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of past ground floor, but like you're good now. But I don't know about later on.
Exactly. Our sentiment's the same. You know, we know that we know there's going to be a bull run. We know the bull run's here, it's coming, and that we're all going to do well no matter what we're in, because everything's going to, rising tide's going to raise all shit.
So I was told by somebody, I won't say his name on stream, but like very close to Elon, that by 2030 they're going to implement AI in every company aspect possible. So before you saw in Chase Bank, there's less tellers, more machines. McDonald's is obviously like always been doing this, but they've been prepping for now. And Trump is bringing back jobs to America, but for who?
Exactly. Check this out.
Yeah.
I won't. I won't even say it. One of my family members, young man, decided that he was going to help his job organize all their files and all this stuff, and he jumped in there and started doing his thing, and he put AI and said, "Man, this is so inefficient. I'm going to use AI," and he did all this, and he's like, "Wow, I really came up with something cool." So he took it to his boss and showed, "Hey, look what I did," and it eliminated 35 jobs at the company.
Yeah, see?
And his boss said, "Put this away. We never had this conversation. Get that out of my
Scary.
office." Yeah. And so, that's the stuff that's going on.
Promoted.
Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that's happening right now, and I'm talking, this is a 23-year-old man that did this, it's going to be in everything. So it's going to affect everything.
I have a background in tech, right? Used to work at Wix.com, some of the companies. And what happened was I saw where they were trying to reduce bills, expenses, of course, obviously as companies normally do. And when they brought about these advances, we looked at the job market. Dude, 180,000 jobs were lost in tech. Yeah. That's Microsoft, that's Facebook. It's spread out. So I'm just considering, what are these people going to do? Because there's not enough jobs for these people once AI is fully here. And then how do they make money?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
You have to do something else.
Coach.
Or get really good at AI quickly.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Universal, what's that? Universal income?
So listen.
Yikes.
UBI,
my dad wasn't in my life. But it's like my second dad right here.
Okay.
So he talks about AI all the time, man. Coach, tell him what's up, man.
Yeah, Coach.
Man. Yeah. What's going on, guys? How you doing, man?
What's going on?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good.
Let me get in here and talk to some of y'all, man. I don't know what's going on.
Nice
with
to meet you, man.
How you doing, man? You guys know more than me. But,
hey, but we
listen up, you guys. This is Coach.
Hear what everybody has to say.
It's about perspective. We all come from different places in this.
Yeah.
And it's about education and us learning from the people that are wanting to look in and see what we're given. Because see, that's what we're talking about, is how do we get the message to you of what's going on out here?
And not in a
you guys are looking from
way.
the outside, and you're seeing 30,000 people show up in something that we have all been sitting here going, "Oh my gosh, this thing's done.
Yeah.
This is over." But you guys are like, "And this is the shit."
Right.
So
you've been in it so long, you've been able to see, how the transformation of it and where the product is and the corruption and the grifters. You've been able to see it. But now I always say people pay attention when it's too late. By the time the news has paid attention and they're looking at it, oh, it's up at 75, it's going to drop. And everybody's playing a waiting game to try to jump into crypto and AI. And it's too late. They're 10 years behind. And
you don't want to be 10 years behind in this stuff.
No,
you don't have a couple of weeks.
The learning curve is so great. And then you're going to get manipulated. Possibly people are going to take advantage of you and or you're going to get scared money. You're going to start pulling it out and, you want to make a quick hit. So you got people that want to make a quick hit. But, with the AI stuff, people are going to be 10 years too late on that. Yep. People are going to be way behind on that because they're right now. I always tell people on my stream, I said, they have enough right now to unleash the beast on everybody. I mean, on everybody. They can replace everybody now. They just don't want to put it out. They just want to slow it up. But by the time people recognize it, it's going to be too late for them because they're
already be too late.
But is it too late to make money? The answer is no.
No,
Absolutely not.
So for the people who, like you guys are ahead of the curve. You guys are always studying stuff. You guys will probably be way ahead to be able to make money from it.
Right. Well, and also then mitigate the risk against anything that we see coming around the corner that might be a problem.
Right.
That could nuke the chart or something like that. That could have a very bad effect. We're like, okay, quantum computing, for example, other stuff, like we can see that like from a mile away because like it's kind of an eventuality, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, like because BlackRock's in it, it seems like that's something that, you know, they're starting to champion, like, hey, let's get that fixed.
Yep.
Because now they're starting to put money in it. They care about it too, right?
Yeah.
Well, I was following that when all of that was happening. I was like, okay, Warren Buffett is saying something a little bit more positive. BlackRock is investing in crypto. So I was like, okay, for all the people who said it was a scam, I'm saying at this point,
Right.
you got to say it's legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to.
You can't say it's going to go away.
And
Unless,
that's
unless
the
you're
part
Peter
of-
Schiff.
And that's the
Yeah.
part of what's going on out there
Right.
that I see as a positive.
Right.
See, but our where we're at, what we're seeing is we're seeing that we are not going to be sat at the table, but on the table. I had a conversation with a gentleman from New York at a Bitcoin event here just last week, and he was there on behalf of the mayor and the governor, and he wanted to talk to me. So we sat down, we started talking, and he said, "I want to sit you down in front of the. I want you to tell what you're telling me to the mayor, because he didn't know crypto, and he was there to investigate and talk to people. I want you to sit down with the mayor and the governor and talk to the people about what you're telling me." I said, "Look, man, you're telling me to come sit down with the king, his lords, and his generals of his army, and you want to bring the pig in that's supposed to be on the table to have a conversation with them." That's how we are looking at ourselves right now.
Right.
And we see the writing on the wall. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, DeFi is doomed and what we're trying to do is doomed, and Satoshi's real vision is doomed. Satoshi's real vision is doomed in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It is no longer what he envisioned it to be.
Which was like what? The revolution
Like a
age?
peer-to-peer.
Peer-to-peer?
Well, getting rid of government responsibility of money.
Exactly.
No
Yeah.
banks.
So now that the government's in it, now the government wants to know.
Right.
So it's too late.
But if you were a Bitcoiner back in the day and you listened to some Andreas Antonopoulos or anybody who had vision, right? We knew this day was fucking coming.
Yeah,
It's just part of the growth curve. Like it's got to happen. So I kind of feel like
We saw it happening in a different way, though.
Not that he didn't.
We thought it was going to be we can't beat them, join them. The
Partially.
institutional money would be coming in that way, but the institutional money is coming in going, we're taking this shit.
We're going to try.
We're gonna try to take it. Yeah.
Will they?
They've already got it.
Well, sort of.
Right now, they got it from the OGs, but they don't have full control of the network.
All those people with thunderous applause are announcing that BlackRock is.
I didn't hear thunderous applause. I heard like golf clapping at the conference.
But they love that this is happening, and only because they love what we just said was, hey, Warren Buffett said it, BlackRock said it. That gives it legitimacy to a person like you.
Right.
To us, it's like the death nail.
But I think there's going to be a push-pull between realistic situations and like our ideals, right? And the fact that like it's kind of like when you watch the boomers, how they did the economy, right? When they were teenagers or in college, they were like, you know, summer of love, all that bullshit. As soon as they got in power, you know, let's this freedom thing, all this, you know, these nice things. Let's change that a little bit.
Let's monetize everything.
It's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? It's like this is an ideal situation. We have probably the best form of money in human history. It's like we created the wheel, we created fire. Yeah, we're going to have some bastardized versions of it, but we're also going to have, I think, some very good versions of it. And at the end of the day, is it going to bring more power to the people or less power? And like Miguel was saying before, having that democratization of the US dollar across the world, it is going to get those people who are unbanked in certain countries or less banked in certain countries able to participate in the global financial system. So,
which was part of Satoshi's original vision.
Right. So you got some things like that happening, which are absolutely great, that I don't think crypto could do by itself.
Yeah.
Right. You do need that mass adoption. So it's like it's a push pull. It's like the world's not perfect. Millennials are going to do the same thing as the boomers, and we're going to be like, well, you pay me enough. Well, you know, BlackRock's the most amazing company I've ever seen. Right.
And it's kind of like
if we're going to get 30 or 40% of the world in crypto, that has to happen.
Correct.
Right.
It has to.
And no one's going to stop AI anyway, because so it's the sort of thing is like, all right, we know it's coming. We know we're about to hit this kind of this cliff of productivity gains on these companies, because like in like, let's just say 20 years, you'll have like a small startup. I mean, I doubt it would even be 6 guys. It'd probably be 3 people. You're going to have multiple people having $100 million companies with 3 people in 20 years.
Probably.
Multiple. Yeah. 6-person multi-billion-dollar companies with 6 people. That's what's running with it, and that's in 20 years or less. And then you'll have like $1 trillion companies with like less than 50.
Okay, so this brings my question, because this is where I say it. You know, for the people who are the masses, they missed out on Bitcoin. They missed out on it, right? They're still waiting to 100x the Bitcoin, and I'm like, too late for that. You know, for now, you can't get in there right now.
Yeah,
but
most people is only a $10 million Bitcoin, which I think
how many years you say?
2037 to 20.
Oh, that's pretty fast. That's
2041.
aggressive. That's aggressive.
It's because the money starts coming in quick.
Okay, when it starts coming in, it comes again. But here's my question: most people are going to miss it because they're going to miss AI. They're going to miss Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They're going to be in UBI.
Yep.
They're going to be stuck, right? Because they're going to choose to go to it. They're going to say, "Man, listen, the job marketplace is bad. I can't afford groceries. I'll go ahead and take whoever puts out a UBI. They'll never get into it." So that puts a proposition of there's going to be smaller companies. No need for all of these other people. You can trim the fat with AI, and then you only need 6 good people in AI to be able to win.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the 40-50% of people are going to be out.
Yep.
What does that create?
It creates a semi sort of like almost like Genghis Khan sort of economy in a way. You're going to have a lot of haves and then a ton of have-nots.
Well, see, that's not going to work.
Okay, but what do we do? How does that? Yeah, how does that affect?
Because
anything?
everyone's mad already.
Right.
Exactly.
Like everybody is up in arms, and nobody knows what side they're on. Really, there really is only 2 sides of this: the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And the
it's gonna
have-nots
be a
are
big
pissed.
have-not.
And they're fighting against each other right now. But eventually, there's going to be something that unifies.
What can they do though? What possibly could they do?
So here's it's education and go ahead.
I was just going to bring up, like, both my parents are bankers. I did the complete opposite. My dad's like, sell all your crypto. And I'm like, no, Dad, you need to get a job. Can we start our own crypto bank type of thing? Right. And like my like opinion and my thoughts about like the industry of the banking world, I think 80% of all banks all the way around the world are going to be done.
Right. Yeah.
Not here. They're already starting to close down. Yeah.
And like
a lot of the small credit unions.
Yeah. Then like I think Eric Trump was like saying, he was like, I want some of these bigger banks to fail.
Yeah.
And they're going to fail.
And they did that in 2008. They should have failed.
Exactly.
They should have failed then. But we bailed them out.
True.
And that's what really caused all this. $7 trillion of our taxpayer money went in to bail them sons of bitches out. And they took all the people's money. They have foreclosed on everybody's houses, and they took our tax money.
Yeah.
And they got those houses back. They got keep their businesses, and they got to continue.
And they got the golden parachute out.
Exactly.
So they got taken care of. They got taken care of.
They got taken care of. But they haven't done anything good since.
No.
They haven't done anything to fix it. And in fact, they're starting to do the same shit again.
They're going to do it again, and because I think people are going to be desperate to buy a house again, right? Because people are getting priced out of.
Right.
So they're looking for people to come up with a reason why they should get one, and then history is going to repeat itself. That's what Bush, Clinton did. That get you a house, and then go ahead in there.
Have a house.
Stated income, stated ass up. Take
you
it.
only make 30 a year.
Yeah.
Sure, man.
Take it. And people are going to do it again. But I think that's why they're going to get trapped.
Yeah. And so,
and this is why you got to build your own citadel. You got to take care of yourself first,
right?
Then take care of the others around you. If you can see that opportunity to make that amount of money, you can have that generational wealth for yourself, for your family, for other people. And 20, 30 years down the line, maybe a lot of people in your community were like, well, you lucky motherfucker, I hate your ass because you're rich, blah, 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 blah. Right. Well, so what? I'm still rich.
Well, and the problem is they're running around.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're running around going, let them eat cake right now. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And you're of a certain age.
Yeah.
You're probably a little younger than me.
Old.
So you've been around the block. You've seen things.
Yes.
Remember, so the way I look at, Bitcoin technology right now and crypto technology right now is, and Bitcoin is the only tech that has been allowed to exist like this. You remember when the .coms came out?
Oh, yeah.
And pets.com was a landing page, and it was worth millions of dollars.
Yes, I remember.
And we were all like, man, look at that thing.
Yep.
I'm in on it.
Yep.
And then a few days later, people were like, no, that's not the real deal. The real deal is this. And all that went away, and people lost money and all that kind of stuff because technology advanced, because people really saw what it was. The internet wasn't just email and a landing page. It was much more than that. And in crypto, we have the same thing. Bitcoin is old tech. It's dilapidated tech. It's inefficient tech. It's had bugs. There's all these things that people don't talk about. crypto has advanced. The stuff that this man right here has built is 100,000 times better than Bitcoin. And people don't know that. People are being sold the fact that Bitcoin number go up. Bitcoin is something like gold to be around forever, that we should be buying it.
But also Bitcoin's a network, crypto's a network. Half of the value of crypto is the network effect. So that's why Bitcoin can do that, is because it's got that network effect already.
Right. And these economic
it's got marketability.
And these market systems that have been around for a long time have not been upgraded. The most upgrade they've had is like going from fax to computer. Really.
Right.
That's about, so moving to Bitcoin is such a huge upgrade that is worth trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. Yeah. I mean, just going from bank hours to 24/7, 365, never turns off, always operational. Sure, it's slow as shit. It takes 10 minutes. If I want to send you money through Bitcoin, it takes 10 minutes.
Okay.
But I can send it anytime I want, and for any reason, no one can stop it. That's the power. That's the huge upgrade. And that's what I'm talking about, the productivity gain. We're going, so there's going to be a huge wealth transfer that's happening over I would say next 8 years is going to be like the easy money, right? Hopefully it's not like 2020, because like the way these cycles work out, it's usually the top's going to be somewhere between October to maybe April of next year is kind of be where like the big peak is and the crash. Then we get another peak somewhere in 2029, and it's sure sounding a shit ton to me like the Roaring '20s.
Right. But the real question that I heard on the stream here, I don't know. One of our guys is asking you a question here, Greg.
Oh, the snow bunnies or the Latinos, the Latinos. All right. Hey man, I'm always grateful to play in some snow. Okay. Sometimes the Lord's blessed me to play in some snow, and it's nice and comfy. Yes, but that Latinas, I have no problem with women. I'm a 31 flavors type of guy. I like to try them all.
Here's the real question.
Yeah.
Goth snow bunnies or goth Latinas?
Oh, right.
Ooh. Which one's the Latina's gonna stab me in my sleep?
But the goth snow bunnies might cut you too.
They go, they like poison and cut you. Baby. They do suicide. Yeah, they might, do something else.
But
generated quickly.
We do have to get Fresh to his stream. He's going to be using the studio here. So no, we appreciate all you guys for coming around and having a good time with us today, talking shit, having a good time, speaking about crypto, speaking about the conference from your guys' honest point of view. So I just want to kind of go around and tell me your guys' either final words, your socials, your pitch for whatever it is that you're doing next. I'll start with you, Coach X. What do you got going on?
So Twitter is going to be Coach X. If you look up that, very easy. On YouTube as well. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, Friday, 6:30 in the morning Pacific time. Just kind of going over the markets and all those measures in place, and kind of like it's a little entertaining for people here on the Pulse Chain ecosystem. And then just if you have your friends and if you have your family out there in the world, you need to start teaching them now, because a month from now it's going to be you already lost. 2 months from now you already lost. A year from now they're done. They're already dead, basically, financially. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Interesting. Great. I love it. Thanks for coming on.
I'm HexMonkey369 on Twitter, Telegram. Probably the only one here not a streamer. So
hey, love it.
I have no product, no channel, no nothing. But
I heard there might be a product that you've used before that did kind of some good things for you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there could be. And in fact, I have an announcement. I'm no longer Hex Monkey. I'm Bitcoin Monkey, because they got to me today. ETH is trash. It's all trash. I'll see myself. But yeah, I've been in the Hex and Pulse Chain community for 5 years total, and still passionate about that. All the awesomeness being built on it, which we've been talking about in the stream. And yeah, so HexMonkey369 if you want to say hi.
Beautiful. Who's this guy? I don't know.
So Captain RG3 on all the socials. You can check out my YouTube channel, Discourse Syndicate. I also have a Pulse Chain Tour, which is the website that we have an event once a year. We used to travel the world, but we've decided to just have one event a year, and we're doing it here in Vegas. We're putting together some training to get outside of crypto and help people on board. So we're working on that. Also, the highest of stakes is getting ready to make part 2 of the movie. So we're getting started on filming of part 2 of the highest of stakes. And pleasure to meet Fresh and Coach. I've been, you know, I've known these guys for a long time and always wanted to meet you guys, and pleasure meeting you and talking to you. So yeah, that's it. Look, Bitcoin deserves its props for being the thing that came in and brought crypto to the world, and I don't take that away from it. We've really got to advance into DeFi and teach people what DeFi is, so that they really understand what crypto really could mean and be. Versus what's going on. And but I am pleased that, you know, more eyes are seeing it, more people are getting involved, and that's the positive that I get out of, you know, the Bitcoin convention, is that they're bringing the people, they're bringing the money, they're bringing eyes to the network. So I appreciate it for that, but there's more to it. And if we're going to be at the table, we've got to be loud, and we got to educate, or we're going to be on the table.
And by analogy, RG, I meant to say, like, by analogy, centralized exchanges, we find them in this room very cringe, and probably most of the viewers, but we need to embrace the fact that it exists, and that's a way to get people on in the first place. Then after they've mastered that, they go on to the next thing.
So yeah, man. Name's Dollar Cost Crypto. I'm going to be streaming for the next 3 days. We got Moongang on Sunday. Got a stream on Saturday. Another stream on Friday. All it's Moongang time, 7 Pacific Standard Time. Live from Las Vegas, man. We're going to be doing a lot of Las Vegas streams, man. Got a lot of people in here for the Bitcoin conference, and getting ready for the next crypto mindset course. The #1 onboarder in the red pill for crypto. So we've onboarded the most amount of red pill men from the red pill community. He's proud to say that, along with, you know, Charlie.
Yep. Yeah. And for anybody who might not be aware of you, Coach Greg Adams.
Man, Coach Greg Adams, man. I'm the most dangerous man on the internet. Demonetized 14 times on YouTube, but hopefully I don't get you.
No.
Okay, good. All right, yeah. All right, but Coach Greg Adams on all platforms. That's pretty much, you'll find it. And we talk about RP relationships. I'm starting to bring in the boss up content. We got to boss up in 2025. A lot of people are just slow to the table. We're trying to get men to wake up and go, hey, there's a happening here. We don't know what it is, but we know that there needs to be a shift in the mindset. So we have a money mindset group. We meet every Sunday night with the group. I love to bring one of you guys in and talk to this group. So absolutely, find me over there. Yeah.
I like what one of the biggest things for me with young men is rites of passage. Yeah. And I think that you guys with the red pill and what you guys are doing, speaking to young men, you know, you have an audience, and you guys are giving men that rite of passage, you know, to advance, to move, to be okay to be a man. Yeah. And I like that message that's out there. Yeah. You know.
Awesome. And SJ, I know like you had to give up your seat, but I don't know if you wanna plug yourself a little bit here.
Sure. So AWild SJ on all the socials, and I'm a Richard Hart way down the rabbit hole maxi for sure. Most of my content's going to focus on who Richard is as a person and his books, and that's a big reason why I've been in this community, and I continue to stay here and stay positive. So
she's even got the heck hearings
and the voice of sci-fi.
So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow allegedly at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on this channel. So hit subscribe, hit like, all that jazz, and we'll be back here tomorrow with you guys talking all about crypto. We might actually talk about price or something like that, some charts tomorrow. But until then, guys, peace, live long and prosper. We'll catch you all again soon. Later.
I said, well, Bitcoin is the best crypto asset. Okay, what's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best, okay? But take all your money, buy Bitcoin. Then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business, it's in your family for 37 years, and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into